Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Jeremy McTegg. This evening's last post ceremony will commemorate the 105th anniversary of the First Battle of Gaza, which took place on the 26th of March, 1917. Two British infantry divisions were to attack Gaza from the south, while the mounted troops of the Desert Column would attack from the flanks and north. When the attack was launched, the infantry made slow progress, but the mounted troops succeeded in capturing the high ground to the north of the city and advancing into it. Concerned by the lack of progress made by the infantry and fearing the water supplies vital for the mounted troops would not be captured that night, Lieutenant General Doble, the British officer commanding the operation, ordered a withdrawal at dusk. The next morning, after realising his mistake, Doble attempted to resume the battle with the infantry. But with the troops exhausted and the Turks having received reinforcements, the attacks floundered. Shortly, we will tell the story of Trooper Walter Rupert Tink, who was among those killed during the First Battle of Gaza. We are honoured to welcome Mr. John King, President of the Return and Services League of Australia, ACT branch. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching this ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Thank you. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest, Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Trooper Walter Rupert Tink. Walter Tink was born in 1892 in Dubbo, New South Wales, to local grazier John Tink and his wife Margaret. The youngest of 10 children in his family, Walter grew up on his family's property called Bennelong, located just outside Dubbo. When he was older, he attended Newington College in Sydney, which was well known for its sporting and athletics programs. On completion of his education, he returned to Bennelong to help his brothers run the family farm after his father's death in 1908. He also began volunteering in the local light horse militia unit. Walter Tink enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 14th of March 1916. He was assigned to the 20th Reinforcements of the 7th Light Horse Regiment with the rank of trooper and began a short period of training in Australia. He embarked for active service from Sydney on the 22nd of July that year, travelling on board the troop ship Malwa. After several weeks at sea, Trooper Tink arrived in Egypt, joining his new comrades for further training. Shortly after arriving, however, he developed mumps and was sent to hospital for treatment. After recovering, he spent a month in isolation before rejoining his unit in early December 1916. He spent the remainder of the year engaged in patrol work with his regiment as the Allies advanced into Palestine. In early 1917, the advance towards Jerusalem halted before the Turkish stronghold of Gaza. Defended by a force of over 4,000 Turkish troops, Gaza needed to fall in order for the British and Dominion forces to continue pressing north. On the 26th of March 1917, 2 British infantry divisions attacked the city from the south, while mounted units, including Tink's, attacked from the flanks and the north to surround Gaza and prevent the enemy from escaping. While the infantry units made slow progress, the mounted regiments quickly swept through, capturing the high ground to the north and beginning their advance into Gaza. Owing to the lack of progress made by the infantry, as well as fears over water supplies, they were eventually ordered to withdraw at dusk. The 7th Light Horse Regiment suffered 3 casualties in their attempt to take Gaza. Among the dead was Trooper Walter Tink, who was shot in the stomach by an enemy sniper while rushing for the cover of a mud hut. His friend and comrade, Trooper William McWilliam, recalled, "The poor fellow died within half an hour. He was conscious to the end, although he knew when he was hit that it was fatal. He took off his wristlet watch and handed it over with some things to be forwarded to his mother and remarked it was hard luck that he should get a fatal wound within half an hour of going into battle for the first time. Walter was a grand young fellow and we were great mates." Walter Tink was never recovered from the battlefield. Today he is commemorated on the Jerusalem Memorial. It took another 2 costly attacks on Gaza before it fell on the 7th of November 1917, opening the route into Jerusalem. In reporting Tink's death, the Dubbo Liberal and Mercury Advocate wrote, "Trooper Tink went forth to do his part in the great fight for empire and liberty. He has made the great sacrifice, and another name has been added to the long list of Australia's hero sons who have laid down their lives on the altar of duty and to preserve the liberty and freedom of the people of the empire." Walter Tink was 25 years old. His name is listed on the roll of honour to my right amongst 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. Trooper Walter Tink can be seen in the photograph that is displayed beside the pool of reflection. He is positioned in the back row on the far right-hand side. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Trooper Walter Rupert Tink, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. And we wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.